It's round 5 of this year's WRC and we've returned to the glorious island of Sardinia for the Rally Italy Sardinia. It was only 8 months ago that we were on the island last, but that time, well, we were based way over those mountains in Alghero. This time, for the first time in many years, the service park returns to Olbia. So what have we got in front of us in Sardinia this week? Well, we've got just over 300 kilometres of competitive distance. In fact, we've got exactly 303 kilometres, 20 stages over the 3 days. Now, it's a mixture of old stages, new stages, slightly differently configured stages. So, you know what? Most of it will be familiar to our drivers, but there's enough uncertainty, there's enough newness in there to make things very interesting indeed over the 3 days. The last day, the 2 stages on the last day, well, they're almost completely new. So I think this could be a really interesting one, not just because of the stages, but because Sardinia is always interesting. One of the roughest, most demanding rallies that we go to. And it always gives us drama, it always gives us some degree of attrition out there. The other thing that we have to look out for is the weather. Quite often, the weather in this part of the world where we can get extreme, almost extreme temperatures. Temperatures into the 30s, sometimes the mid-30s. That's not going to happen this week, but we are going to get temperatures potentially on Friday up to 28, 29 degrees. But the interesting part of the weather forecast is there is the potential for rain. Now, we had a forecast telling us thunderstorms on Saturday, rain on Sunday. That's now changed a little bit to thunderstorms on the Sunday, so it might be that we have to wait a little bit for any rain this weekend. But should we get the forecast rain on Sunday, it really could make that a very interesting day indeed. What do we talk about when we come to Sardinia? Well, we talk about the road surface, and we know in terms of road position, it is one of the most punishing, demanding rallies out there. In terms of tyre wear, it's one of the most punishing, demanding rallies out there. Well, why is that? Well, do you know what? We're going to go and have a little look. And with the help of our WRC expert and former WRC driver, Christian Silbury, we're going to explain to you just why this road surface is so unique and so difficult. Road surface is what it's all about here in Sardinia. Yeah. Just try and explain to us what it is about this surface that makes things so challenging.
Well, if we just have a look on the road surface, this is obviously what the road is looking when the driver is headed or they have been doing recce. It's quite a lot of loose, obviously, and soft. And this is something Ogier won't be really happy about. But then when you start to have cars go on the stage, it starts to move away. And
this, now, I just have to put a little bit of context to this. This is the road that Mads Osberg and the Citroën team used for testing just 2 days ago. So this is exactly what we're going to see as the road develops during the rally. Yeah.
So this will become this maybe in, it'll take 20 or 30 cars, but the change is massive. Even after 5 or 6 cars, there's going to be lots more grip to the drivers compared to Ogier, Evans, and who is third.
But what's really interesting for me is yeah, I can't remember who's third, but we'll find out shortly. You know, these don't move. This is like serrated, isn't it? And to be honest with you, these are reasonably smooth stones. In some of the stages, they're like that. They're pointy, really jagged, sharp stones that are embedded. So it's all embedded rock in the road, and it very quickly becomes incredibly grippy.
It becomes incredibly grippy, but it's also really hard for the tires. And you have to remember, we have same tires as we had, allocation as we had in Portugal. So we have 8 softs and 24 whatever the hards.
Yeah.
So
managing tires is
going
to
be an issue.
Real issue. Yeah. But you know what? We're up here on this mountain road, and some of the stages are a bit like this. But the other thing I like, Christian, let's just stand up. It takes me a little while because I'm getting old. There's a variety of stages here, and we've seen from the tests. Yep, this was Osberg's test road. But we had a look at Mikkelson's test road, and that was quite different. The surface was similar, but the characteristics were different. It was lower hills, through the trees. There are stages like that, aren't there?
Yeah, there's a good mixture of different kind of stages. Obviously, this is quite typical, like you said. Then there is few stages which go more into the forest, like Terranova stage number 2, which is run, I think it's not been run for 10 years or something like that. It's in the forest, and it's the end, like end of the stage is really, really narrow, really rocky, really difficult. So for me, stage 2 is a stage, whoever comes out of that without a puncture or a problem will be strong on day 1.
And then we've got some stages, Christian, where they're unbelievably narrow, and that's a real characteristic of this rally. It's blind crests, blind corners, narrow, no room for error. You know, it's a variety, and that, from a driver's point of view, in terms of finding a rhythm, can be a challenge.
It can be a challenge, but what makes this rally so great is that we have all these different kind of roads. It's interesting for the drivers as well, because you can't just, you know, relax and sit on your seat and do the work. You really have to concentrate in reading the road. You maybe have to mark the different type of roads in your notes, even to remind you that, okay, it's wide, now it's narrow, now it's rocky, now it's abrasive. Whatever information you can put in your notes without making it too complicated still will help you.
Here's something, you mentioned stage 2 there, Christian, and we've seen the amount of gravel and dust that's on the road here. It's massively dusty. Stage 2, relatively early on Friday morning, in amongst those trees, as you said, okay, we've got a breeze blowing across the day, but there's a real chance that we might see some issues with dust and visibility in amongst those low trees. Yeah,
that's a high possibility. If there's no wind, stage 2 is a stage where we might have short section, we might have some dust. Sure.
So, Christian, you've been out. This man's been out and looked at all of the stages on the event. Is there a particular stage that we should be looking out for? Is there one stage out here this weekend that the drivers are worried about, that they will treat with extra caution?
I would treat stage number 2, Terranova, with extra caution.
Wow. Do you know what? It's very often the Friday morning here in Sardinia that shows us really the drama. We get the attrition very, very often early on in this rally. You're saying stage 2. I think you might be right. It could be very, very interesting
indeed.
And
then stage 5, last year stage number 1.
Yes, stage 5. That's the one that Teemu Sunonen absolutely smashed everyone. He really did. So there we are, folks. No better than a WRC driver to explain to us the particular challenges of this surface here in Sardinia. It is going to be a fascinating rally. Thank you all very much for joining us, and thank you, Christian, for joining us for our preview here. Don't forget, the place to be this weekend for all the action, all the drama as it unfolds is dirtfish.com.